Imagine waking up to see Russia's lifeline, its oil hub, engulfed in flames. Explosions rip through the night sky, plumes of black smoke tower above refinery towers, and sirens echo through the industrial heart of the Kremlin's war machine. This isn't just a fire, it's a direct strike at the very veins that pump wealth and power into Moscow. And it's happening right now. Before we go deeper, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments, do you think Ukraine's strikes inside Russia are turning the tide of the war? I want to hear your thoughts. Now, let's pull back the curtain. Ukraine has unleashed a campaign that Moscow never thought possible. Drones and missiles are penetrating deep into Russian territory, setting ablaze oil refineries and export terminals. One of the most devastating blows came at the Luga oil terminal near St. Petersburg, a facility critical to Russia's exports. According to the Kyiv Independent and Reuters, the terminal's tanks erupted in massive flames after precision drone strikes. Video from locals showed an inferno so large it was visible miles away. Why target oil? Because oil is Russia's war chest. Every barrel exported funds missiles, tanks, and soldiers. By striking these hubs, Ukraine isn't just burning fuel, it's torching Moscow's budget for war. Analysts at the Washington Post explained that these attacks force Russia into a painful choice: either pull air defenses back from the front lines to protect its rear, or risk watching its economy go up in smoke. And here's the shocking part: Russia's vaunted air defenses, the S-400s, the Pantsers, the layers of anti-aircraft missiles, are struggling. Drones costing just a fraction of a missile are slipping through, hitting targets Moscow claimed were untouchable. Each strike reveals a truth the Kremlin fears: Russia is too big to defend. But this firestorm is only the beginning, because what's burning isn't just oil, it's the illusion of Russian invincibility. And if you think these strikes are just isolated events, wait until you hear what's happening to Russia's railways, the arteries of its military supply chain. If you want to verify everything I've said, the sources are linked below. Sources: this section 1, Reuters. To picture this: a train loaded with fuel, ammunition, and food for Russian troops grinds to a halt in the middle of nowhere. Not because of sabotage on the battlefield, but because the rail lines inside Russia itself have been blown apart. Ukraine has shifted the battlefield far beyond Donetsk and Kherson. According to BBC News and Forbes, Ukrainian forces are now striking railway junctions, fuel depots, and bridges deep inside Russian territory. This isn't random destruction, it's surgical warfare. 70% of Russia's military logistics move by rail. Every artillery shell, every gallon of fuel, every ration for soldiers, it all depends on rail. And Ukraine knows it. By blowing up these arteries, Ukraine isn't just delaying trains. It's starving Russian forces at the front. Russian telegram channels, often the first to reveal the truth Moscow tries to hide, are filled with panicked soldiers complaining they can't get supplies. Videos show troops begging Putin for help, saying they're abandoned without food, without ammunition, without even fuel to run their vehicles. And here's the terrifying chain reaction: when refineries burn, fuel can't be processed. When rails are destroyed, that fuel, even if it exists, can't reach the front. When troops go undersupplied, morale collapses. And when morale collapses, defeats multiply. Military analysts cited in The Guardian warn that Russia's war machine is being hollowed out from within, not by a single decisive battle, but by 1,000 cuts, each one delivered with precision. But Russia's nightmare doesn't end with oil and rail. Because the Kremlin is now being forced to make impossible choices, choices that could tear its own defenses apart. In a moment, I'll reveal how Moscow is thinning its air defenses, leaving both its cities and its front lines vulnerable. And trust me, this is where the story gets even darker. If you want to confirm these details, check the sources in the description. Sources: this section 2, BBC Ukraine targeting Russian railways. Forbes: Russia's rail-based logistics under attack. The Guardian: Ukraine's strategy of 1,000 cuts. The defenses collapse. Moscow once bragged it had the most layered, advanced air defense system on Earth. Today, that shield looks more like Swiss cheese. Here's Why every drone that streaks across Russia's sky forces the Kremlin into a no-win scenario. Protect the oil hubs, the front lines weaken. Guard the front lines, the heartland burns. Bloomberg reports that Russia has begun redeploying Kiev's for own missile systems, pulling them back from occupied territories to defend major cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg. But this reshuffling is leaving critical gaps. Ukrainian drones are exploiting those gaps, slipping through to hit oil refineries in Rostov, Bryansk, and even near Moscow itself. Each successful strike shows the world, and more importantly, Russian citizens, that Putin's promises of impenetrable defense are a myth, and it's not just the physical damage. It's psychological. Russian civilians, once told the war was far away, are now waking up to explosions above their own cities. Panic spreads on Telegram, where residents film fireballs in the night sky. These aren't battlefront images. These are Russian suburbs. According to Institute for the Study of War ISW, this constant barrage forces Russia to expend its most expensive missiles, million-dollar interceptors, against drones costing as little as $20,000. It's an economic war of attrition that Russia cannot sustain. But here's the darker twist. The Kremlin doesn't want its own people to know just how fragile things have become. Reports from Medusa and the Moscow Times reveal that authorities are throttling internet speeds, censoring coverage, and even banning certain apps to prevent news of the strikes from spreading. The Kremlin isn't just fighting Ukraine, it's fighting the truth, and yet truth has a way of breaking through. Because what comes next is even more explosive. Signs that Russia's economy, already cracking, is about to enter freefall. Want to check these revelations? I've placed all the sources in the description below. Sources: THISC Section 3, Bloomberg. Russia redeploys air defenses to protect cities. ISW analysis of Russian air defense strain. Medusa. Kremlin censors reports of refinery attacks. Moscow Times. Internet throttled amid strikes. The coming collapse of flames consuming Russia's oil hubs aren't just burning steel and fuel. They're burning the very foundations of Putin's power. Here's the brutal truth. Russia's economy is being squeezed from all sides. With refineries ablaze and exports stalled, Moscow's cash flow is bleeding. According to Financial Times, Russia's oil revenues, the lifeblood of its war effort, are plummeting. At the same time, sanctions choke off its access to technology and spare parts. What does that mean? Every destroyed refinery is harder to repair. Every sabotaged railway takes longer to fix. And every day the fires burn, Russia's ability to fund its war shrinks. But perhaps the most dangerous fracture isn't economic, it's political. Inside the Kremlin's inner circle, whispers grow louder. Elites see their fortunes slipping, their influence fading. Analysts at Carnegie Russia Eurasia Center warn that if Putin can't guarantee victory, or even stability, his grip on power could be at risk. And that's where this story takes its most dramatic turn. Ukraine isn't just striking infrastructure, it's shaking the very ground beneath the Kremlin itself. So the question now is chilling. How long can Putin pretend the flames are under control before the fire spreads to his throne? If you've stayed with me through this descent into Russia's unraveling, you already know this isn't just about explosions on the horizon. It's about the collapse of a system built on fear, wealth, and war. And this is where I turn it over to you. Do you believe these strikes could actually topple Putin's regime? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video so more people understand the truth behind the headlines. Every interaction helps us bring these revelations to a wider audience. For those who want to verify all the details, check the description for every source. Source to Section 4, Financial Times. Russia's oil revenues decline under attack. Carnegie Russia Eurasia Center. Putin's vulnerabilities exposed. Kiev Independent. Reuters follow-ups on refinery strikes.